don't know if you guys can hear me, and I don't know if you can hear me. Uh, technology is all going very, very wrong here this evening.
Hello.
Oh, I can hear you, Ian. Now, can I hear Nicola? Couldn't hear him earlier. No, he's
Can you
gone
hear
to
us,
sleep.
Nicola?
Oh, what a day! What a day! What a day! Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. As you may have guessed, this is not going. I actually quite like. I wore this black top. It adds to the whole mood thing, doesn't it? This evening's broadcast brought to you again via oil lamps. Welcome, welcome to 2022, the year of the oil lamp here in Afrique du Sud. So, Ian. How are you? I don't think I can hear Nicola.
No, I can't hear Nicola either. I don't know if Nicola can hear me at all. I couldn't hear him at all. You can hear us. We can't hear you. Oh, okay. I don't know if you're muted, mate, but yeah, we can't hear you. I'm all right. Sorry I missed last week. I was traveling, unfortunately.
Well, someone's got to, and it seems like everyone else hasn't got here. So let's make this a super quick one because, well, the world's gone to the hell in a handcart, hasn't it, really?
Yes.
I am still hyper surprised and utterly wrong with my assertions that it would be a bad idea to fly DJI equipment in Ukraine. I thought you'd get yourself found out. I thought you'd call targets on you, but it appears that Russia has no counter UAS gear in theatre.
I think what's clear is things over that side are very much 20, 30 years in the past. And I'm not even convinced the US or the UK has. If you just look at Gatwick as a classic example of
any better, yeah.
There's a lot of talk about it, but I suspect what there's been is a lot of what is the actual risk? Are we going to worry about it? And the reality is, I suspect from the eastern side of things, they're just not prepared at all for it. It's a hell of a mess. It's a horrible situation. Everyone finds themselves in, and look, it's going to have a knock-on effect on literally everything. And ignoring the geopolitical nonsense for a minute and the horrible thing that's happening to the Ukrainian people and all of that, everything's going to go up. Everything's going to be difficult to have. We've lived in a period where we're just used to going to the shop and buying something. And actually, we need to get used to that not being a possibility anymore because there are far more important things going on around the world. And, you've now got the oil thing, which is next.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a tough 12 months, a real tough 12 months.
We good now?
Now, Nicholas coming back. And he's right on the border. Oh, there we are. I can hear you now. I blame you. I couldn't hear you when we were setting this up, and I thought, oh, this evening's gotten even worse than ever. And
for some reason, there was some issue with my microphone. Flipped a few settings, reset them, and seems to be working now.
Technology is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Yeah. Now you're right on the border there, of course, and Romania's doing a fantastic job of looking after people and sorting stuff out. So fair play to you and your compatriots there.
What we're talking about?
We're talking about Ukraine and just how it just seems nuts that none of the counter UAS gear seems to be there. And David Walters in the comments saying, when told they've acquired an aeroscope they are using in the field. I wonder which side you're talking about, because we know the Russians have them because they're on the oligarchs' boats. So I wonder which side you're talking about there, David. It's going to change every aspect of doctrine, says Air Relations. Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's such it's a terrible situation all around, I suppose. Russia, Russia. Yeah. Okay. I don't think. Let's see if I can put this comment up on here. Yeah, I can. Actually, I didn't know I could do that from my mobile phone. We are without power here.
I think jamming is a technical term for blowing them up. If you call jamming, right, making it vanish, then yes, they are jamming cellular towers. But yeah, it's been a weird all week. It's been a weird all week, and
Are you sure about that?
What? It's been a weird week.
No, about the cell towers, because as far as I know, pretty much none have been destroyed.
Well, they're reporting today they've been blowing them up accidentally, I may add, because it's hurting them, because they've been using them as part of their own system. But yeah, that's what I was.
Well, they didn't seem to come. They didn't seem to come on scene with anything better than Baofeng radios like these up here, and cell phones, which is it's just extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, how effective are the TB2s? Oh, I should know the words of the song.
Makes you wonder if it's actually true, because the amount of fucking shit and fake news around here has been staggering.
Well, you're right on the border of it. So, what do you mean by that in your country? What does that mean?
Well, basically, they've blocked everything coming from Russia, so we only have a one-sided, view of things, and it's just.
It's not really one-sided when there is someone else's country.
It's disgustingly skewed to a particular point of view, and it's ridiculous because it all contradicts itself with the goal of creating an image of somebody, a negative one. But if you read all of it, it kind of contradicts itself. But I don't want to get into it because opinions are varying and extreme, as it turns out, for most people. But Facebook has been, last week up to Friday, Facebook was absolutely flooded with all the shit you can imagine. You can barely read anything from a Russian source, which is no surprise because the US does the fact checking and the the censorship. So basically you have no idea what's going on there, but the amount of shit that was flooding the Facebook, or at least my feed, I can't say about everyone else's, but my feed, every second line and post was a suggestion by Facebook or a comment of a friend on some big news website publication on something about Ukraine, including Zelensky's. I'm from Bulgaria. Fact checking in quotes, exactly. Zelensky's, statements and interviews and whatnot, and that was like every hour. It was insane. Sunday and Saturday and Sunday, things died down like shockingly quickly, and now it's been 2 days into the new week. You can barely find anything. I have no idea if that's just my feed, but all the information about Ukraine seems to have vanished.
Well, I think, whichever way you want to look at it, it's a terrible. It's bottom line. It's a terrible situation. And that,
I'm not commenting. I'm not commenting about the situation because like I said, opinions are varied and they're usually extreme, and people are mindlessly very quick to judge and to put names and attach labels and so on. So,
but isn't that the new normal? Isn't that what we do with everything now? Isn't that everything now?
Well. No, I mean, these are like BBC. Those are official Bulgarian pro-West media, and even that's gone from Facebook and from my feed. These are not things I'm subscribed to. These are suggestions by Facebook that they were pushing onto me. But it was like every second post was about that. Zelensky's speeches were every 3 hours on the clock. You know, I could pretty much know exactly what time of the day is with his speeches. And now all of that, it reduced drastically over the weekend. And yesterday and today, there's been nothing. Just every few hours, somebody posts something, but it's a person. It's not a Facebook suggestion. Everything just went dark. I have no idea why. And I was wondering if that's just me and what's really happening, because Zelensky's speeches have also gone away, which I find particularly interesting for a number of reasons.
But isn't sorry,
I was just going to say the KGB are just blocking your feeds,
Nick, right? Yeah, personally, personally,
yes, they personally are after you.
But
I don't know why. I don't know why they would be, because I wasn't receiving any Russian news, essentially. Not that I'm subscribed to any, but I wasn't subscribed to any of the ones that were showing up in my feed anyway. So I wasn't receiving any Russian news or suggestions. I was receiving only West-based media suggestions, etc., and also Bulgarian pro-West media outlets, and even those are gone now. I'm not sure the KGB would have anything to do with that.
Yeah, it's the bigger picture, sadly. I mean, it's so trite to say this as the war's raging, but it's the bigger information war picture that's going on.
I know loss of life is, a serious thing and a big problem, etc., etc. But for me, right now, given the past 2 weeks, the biggest threat to the world is the ease with which misinformation is allowed to spread. The extent to which censorship goes, maybe both ways.
Well,
but definitely
you call it censorship. I'll call it message shaping to help my advertisers. It's really but it just depends. Of course, it's censorship, but
it's not it's not down to the advertisers. I mean, Elon Musk said that certain countries have asked of him to block Russian publications going through Starlink, and he refused because he's a stoic supporter of free speech. But you can get an idea that those are not advertisers. This is being done on purpose, but the extent to which it is done, it is even worse than during COVID. And to me, that is the most frightening thing. It's not the war, because despite all the bullshit that goes around, Putin doesn't have an interest of going past Ukraine. He's not going to go to Berlin. He's not going to go into Poland. He's not going to come here. I'm not losing any sleep over that. I don't worry, because it's not going to happen. He's not
going. Yeah, but he's not going to go there because he hasn't got the fuel or supply lines to get there. If we believe what we're told,
even if he did, he's not interested in that. Why would he go there? I don't see the reasoning. And saying because he's crazy and he woke up one day and decided to invade Ukraine, that's also false. And that couldn't be further from the truth, but that's what the media is trying to convince us, and that's what the majority of people that only read the headline of an article are convinced. And those are usually the ones that put the labels and are in the extreme positions. The headline readers, the ones that don't really
I think you've got a little bit too much faith in modern world. You believe people read the headlines. I don't even read that far.
Well, if they don't read even the headlines, I'm not sure how they can have an opinion or a position in any case.
because I hear it through other popular culture stuff. Because to read a headline means you're reading some sort of news source to me. But if you only get your news and information from Facebook, see, I wouldn't count Facebook as a place to see headlines.
That's the problem. No, that's the problem. That's my problem. It's not only Facebook. I turn on the news, it's the same shit repeated over and over again on every channel. And I'm talking Bulgarian channels. I'm not even talking about BBC, Sky News, CNN, MSNBC, and all the other Western big media. I'm talking even the local ones. It's the same regurgitated script. Yeah, memes and TikTok, yeah. But even on the news, it's the same regurgitated script on every news channel, every news emission. It's all the same. And it makes you wonder, and once you try to grasp the scale of this misinformation, or this information war, which is essentially skewing the truth and trying to push an agenda depending on who's got you by the balls. It is scary. And I think this is a lot more dangerous than any war that could break out in Europe.
Depends on whether your house has just been blown up or not, I suppose. But
like I said, I don't see the logic of Russia, no matter who's in charge of Russia, of going anywhere past Ukraine. And there are very specific reasons why this is happening. And these reasons are not, from yesterday. There have been people talking and warning about this, Putin included, for the past 30 fucking years. So, somebody woke up the other day and said, Russia attacked Ukraine. Oh, those villains. Sure, they might be villains, but they've got their reasons, and they're not invalid reasons. It's not because they're crazy, and it's not because they just want the Russian Empire together again. Couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, it's a dreadful situation of that. There can be no doubt, and to try and bash it back into our orbit, I think DJI have crushed it. I think they've sold to both sides. They've sold boxes and boxes and boxes of gear. And
as far as I can see, a lot of what Ukraine's getting is pretty much donated.
I don't know. I bet it's not. I bet Ukraine's bought loads of stuff as well. But the great thing for DJI is both sides are buying, either it be it donated or be the Ukrainians have bought their own.
Imagine the availability of spare parts in the fields of Ukraine once this is all over.
It only needs to fly once, though, doesn't it? Only needs to fly once. You don't need to.
I just read something before the live started that Ukraine received a shipment by, supporters of 1,300 Mavic Minis, and I'm thinking that thing barely has a range of 300 meters. What good is it gonna do?
Someone's saying any DJI counter UAS system. Well, funny enough, I forgot what it's called now. It's got a 40-kilometer out of the box range, which isn't a lot, but you wouldn't need an aeroscope. But then none of that seems to be there, which is quite extraordinary. It blows my mind that none of it's there, or doesn't seem to be. Maybe it was caught up in those convoys or whatever. But DJI own the skies. And why did I want to say that? I want to say that because AeroVironment this week said the Raven is the world's most popular military drone, small unmanned aerial system. I would like to.
I saw one in person a few weeks back.
They're horrible, aren't they? But it's
it looked like the new model, actually.
Oh yeah, what with the bubbly nose?
I'm not. Let me try and find. Let me try and find the photo. Let me
That's a
try
good
and
comment
find
from
the photo, and I'm gonna
Doverance.
do a screen share because it may have been probably the latest version. I'm not sure, but I do have a photo of it, and
Well,
I'm
the
just
screen.
gonna.
Well, we'll see if we can do it from this. Only by sales. Our air relations. I reckon. I don't think. I don't think AeroVironment have sold as many Ravens in its entire history as DJI sells platforms in a day. So
Probably,
it's
but the price difference is pretty
oh
substantial.
yeah, oh yeah, no AeroVironment. Oh yeah, no. If it's done by profit, then they're probably AeroVironment are probably doing really well and exporting rights. Raven
Mm.
C says Air Relations. Raven C, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I don't know, Ian. You're being quiet. Can we drag a comment out of you on this one?
It's tough, isn't it? I think they've been donated. They've had stuff bought on that. You see a lot of nonsense from these companies talking. DJI might be quiet right now. It might be the sleeping dragon, but it's still a dragon, and it is still the biggest player in the industry. And the second they actually do something, thousands, not tens, not hundreds, thousands, and normally tens to hundreds of thousands of people will buy one. So it doesn't matter what these companies say. We do this, we do that. It's like when Apple release a phone compared to someone else. The reality is, like or hate, DJI make a product that works for the most part. And funny enough, I've just been finishing my Autel review. And I think it's a fantastic product. It's going back tomorrow. The product is very good. It has some shortcomings, some compromises. The Nano Plus, a couple of them for me specifically because of how well it can handle wind, and it's not related to that drone. It's just a mini-sized drone is no good where I live, and that's one of the reasons I've never bought a Mavic Mini, to be honest. But the reality is, as good as that is, when DJI drop another model that has a similar specification soon, and it is inevitable. It makes me laugh. You've got all these leaks. Oh, they're going to do a Mini 3. Of course there's going to be a Mini 3. It's like saying, is a movie going to be launched in 2022? It's insanity. There's going to be a Mini 3. There's going to be a Mavic 4. There's going to be an Inspire 3. It's not if, it's when. And all these bloody click websites sitting there going, is this how will it happen? Of course it's going to bloody happen. Sorry, that's my rant. It's like, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's stupidity to think otherwise. The products that are in question are the niche products, the FPV system, things like that. That's where the niches are and the non-guarantees. But yeah, there'll be a Mini 3 and it will outsell the Autel 10 to 1. And that isn't because the Autel is bad. The reality is DJI will walk in and undercut them because Autel have had to put their pricing up quite rightly to ensure that their business has continuity. But DJI has got the leverage of capacity and market share, and they will just go, we'll do it, we'll equal it, we'll better it. So as good as Autel is, and I think they've delivered a fantastic product, it's still going to be hard to prize people away from that DJI brand at times.
So,
it really is.
So are we going to begin attaching the number 2 to Autel then?
As in, yeah, I think they are the number 2, and I think they will remain the number 2. I don't know how. I don't think anyone can become number 1 now. And okay, I'm always very careful to say stuff like that because remember Nokia. We all of us are old enough to have lived through, have owned all the mobile phones, and it is unimaginable when I had 10 Nokias in a row that Nokia would cease to exist, yet they do. But it's probably fair to say for the next 5 to 10
Yeah, but the reasons were...
Yeah, it was a funny situation. Yeah. But it's the same, but if we look at the other companies, Microsoft, someone said to me the other day and said, oh, Microsoft aren't as big as they used to be. And I just looked at them and went, have you read something, or is that just an observation? And he goes, oh, it's just an observation. Microsoft are bigger than they have ever been. They are worth more than they have ever been. They're just not as in the public spotlight as they once were. And that stands for a lot of those big companies like Oracle and all of these companies. They're still absolutely enormous. They're just not as highlighted as they were. So I think DJI will probably remain the number one for the next 10 years. And I think the competitor with DJI probably isn't even in the market today. I think the
you
reality
reckon Autel's not the one then?
Okay. One question though: when I share a screen, do I get to pick and choose which application? Okay.
Well, I'm on my phone. I'm on my Nokia phone right now, and I don't know if I'll be able to. I'll try and share it, and I'll see if I can put it up. Oh, hello.
Can you see it?
What happened there? The hair took away everything for me. Hang on. Are you all still there? Oh,
yes.
I'm having a day. I can't see it, mate. I'm sorry. It's because I'm on this mobile phone. I can't make that happen. I'm sorry. Yeah, obviously, it's not supported on
can anyone see it?
No,
they won't, because I have to add it to the stream. It's one of the poor things about StreamYard. But that said, it is working via my phone now. So
it's a raven with a gimbal in the nose.
Yeah, it's a C. Somebody said earlier it's Raven C. Yeah, it's a phone
so
with
it's
a
probably the new one. Yeah,
but they did drop boxes and boxes and boxes of them all over the place because the US Army didn't really want any more. What about drones? Sorry, I couldn't make. Oh yeah, he's out doing secret squirrel things. It's all about drones, so we better not talk about what he's doing because we don't know because it's secret. I have. I know he does a lot of counter UAS work, and we've been involved in some recently. And I can tell you, we have been aggressing some counter UAS systems, and we've beaten every one of them. And not because we're clever, because I'm speaking to you, A, via my cell phone, and B, via the miracle of oil lamps. So we're not in the cutting edge world of got the latest things to defeat stuff here. But the snake oil around counter UAS is just absolutely extraordinary. We really could, if we had the nuts, we could just put some wires in a box with some LEDs on it and label up some switches and sell it as the latest, greatest thing. We really could. They're so easy to defeat. And by defeat I mean fly around and not be detected, not go and destroy them, but not be detected. It really is. And I'm sure there's other system. The only thing that will stop us doing it now is it's getting so expensive to buy any of the gear. So we can't afford to buy any flight controllers or aircraft or anything anymore. The end is not in sight for that, is it?
No.
No, it's going to be bad for some time yet. Things are not going to be good for some time. I've just had some stuff arrive today, and I'm looking to get some extra bits, and it's not going to be good, And we're around the corner from another major shift in the computer industry. That's due a change now as well. There's going to be new hardware coming there, so there's always something around the corner. It's.
You think chip shortage is bad now? Just wait and see when China make their move on Taiwan.
I'm not convinced they will. I think
may not be aggressive, may not involve military, but they will. When short term, there may be serious disruptions.
I think, having watched how this is played out, I think they would be reluctant.
Well,
I don't think it's the same, is it? I don't think they'd be quite as arrogant. They know they know their limits, and they'll apply the correct levers. Perhaps not super violently, but many. Old Christopher's very. I'm going to put that up again. They never know. They don't know they've been exploited. That is absolutely spot on. It can come and go, and they won't know they're there. but Aeroscope is a different beast, of course, because that's from DJI and that's listening to the machines. Because that's the beautiful thing about that. If you make the machines in the first place and you make the anti-machines machines, it's just such perfect business. It's brilliant. It's really is brilliant. Everyone else is just busy playing. I'm ranting. I'm sorry. I think I made a huge faux pas telling people, no, don't fly your drones there. You'll get picked up and you'll reveal the positions of other people, and that'll be a terrible idea. But there was no one listening.
No, I think it's interesting. You know, it's going to be an interesting year. That's the Welsh for year. I keep saying the same thing. I think, you know, there's new products due. There's a lot of hype beginning to build around DJI now. There's talk of... I did see something interesting today that they're going to have to implement special propellers in Europe. This was posted by the Twitter leaker, and all European models, including the Mavic 3, are going to now have to ship with special propellers. Now, this is
special
probably...
propellers?
Well, that is... This will probably be to comply with the new regulations with the drones being sub 900 grams, etc., because the Mavic 3 is sub 900 and those other ones. Now, it sort of shows they haven't really paid a huge amount of attention to the rules until now, but I guess this will be relating to the potential impact damage on a person, but they're saying it's going to result in a loss of thrust and performance.
So softer propellers.
I'm guessing it'll be softer. It'll be something. It'll probably be a softer plastic, less angle. But that doesn't mean you won't be able to buy the American ones or the European or the China ones. But the Twitter leaker has said today all new models are going to ship with special propellers, which will reduce performance, and that's not surprising. You know, we're going to have effect as a result of the European regulations. You're probably going to see a reduction in flight time, and I say special, just different designed. Special as
that's
in
going to have to be a hell of a different propeller to make a huge percentage difference. Because let's be honest, if you're really heavy-handed with your throttle stick, that'll blow any plus or minus propeller out of the water anyway.
I'm guessing it's a few percent. I'm guessing what it is a few percent. You know, they might be bragging.
Is it just me, or is every decision that the EU has made recently has been just to fuck us over? Like, seriously. Every single decision in the past couple of years.
Just you, Nicola. They only want to fuck you over. They don't want to do it to anyone else.
Yes.
I couldn't really care less about the DJI stuff because I don't use it all that much or at all at the moment. But in general, I mean, this is ridiculous. And it's not limited to that, even. Just everything. It's been a while since I've heard something actually adequate coming from the EU Parliament. Jesus.
Well, the drone stuff's very catch up. In my humble opinion, it's very reactionary coming out of the EU.
Reactionary to what? I've yet to see the victims and the cut up people and all of that.
Yeah. Well, that unfortunately, Nicola, is the common sense argument, and as you know full well, common sense is not allowed. It's
obviously that's been banned by law quite a while ago.
Absolutely. No, but it's very reactionary. They don't seem to have too many places that have sat down and gathered the data. There's a couple of places in Denmark that are very good, but the rest of it's Airbus driven. Airbus says they want to do this. Airbus says they want to do that. Airbus said this is a good idea, and that's what happens. Lack of advocacy, reaction to what if scenarios. It's all
and if it's reaction to what if scenarios, then I'd suggest nuking Russia preemptively, because what if
I think I'd be wanting a set of stiffer props in that situation.
Yes.
Yeah, they might
Hey,
last
I'm
one
sorry, it's
quarter
a
of a
what if.
revolution longer.
It's a what if. So let's
Yeah.
do it.
There's a lot
See
of
how
noise
that
right now.
plays out.
There's a lot of noise right now. We've got new models coming. We've got the EU regulation is going to bite. It's inevitable. It's here. It's going to happen. I think what will be interesting to see is how DJI project, because I think DJI in many ways is a vision of what is happening in the industry. So if you look at the last 12 months, product releases have been very limited. Everything that's been released has been, for the most part, hobby grade, low end for the most part as well. Very little high end until the Mavic 3, which came with a bag full of pain for its users. It's better today. And my God, did I get some hate on that video? Oh, that one got me some abuse. You're wrong. Was one person's comment.
That's very gentle, hey? You're
Yeah,
wrong.
it was.
You're wrong on many things.
Many rings, but it's quite interesting, and especially buyers' bias as well, because no one wants to be told their drone really isn't any better than the one they've got rid of. And look, I stand by it, and I also stand by the fact of Philip Bloom, who is a professional photographer, has pretty much said the same thing. And I looked at it from a professional user's point of view. The image quality it's to say it's negligible difference is me overestimating the difference. It is so subtle. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So, if they release 10 drones this year, they must think there's money to bin. So it'll be interesting because we're all facing a crisis of living costs that existed before the horrible mess of Ukraine. The UK was already set for 33+% rises. In some ways, we've been shielded by what's going on over there because of our reliance on oil and gas is lower, but Germany is a major player and Germany heavily rely on it. And you're going to see the costs of stuff go up. Okay, most of it's made in China. So you would have to think in some ways, perhaps if it's not coming over here, it's going to go over there. So costs might come down. But then again, China can play the squeeze game too. They're in the position.
I'm just going to jump in a second. Rev, I'm come via all amps. I'd love to rewind it, but you don't want to be at the beginning. It was a complete mess. So don't worry. You don't worry about it. And 507 says DJI won't be able to sell the DJI FPV after this September in the US. Curious what they'll do. Why won't they be able to sell it? I'm not aware of the why. I could go with the story that DJI will give up selling it in September. I could go with that, but I don't understand why they wouldn't be able to sell it after September. Yeah, I'm missing.
What have I missed in September?
Is that
does that mean that there will be a lot of DJI FPV drones available for sale at reduced prices?
I don't think they've sold anywhere near as many. They will have sold thousands and thousands.
The remote, but they can implement
remote ID.
Yeah, it's there now. That's just firmware update. That's fine. That's easy. They can comply with that tomorrow.
Yeah, and because remember, it's their standard basically. That's going through with a couple of modifications, but it's because I think it is in America. I think it's going to be some new rules in April, says Patrick. I wonder what.
There's nothing specific to the FPV drone that would affect it compared to the others, if you know what I mean. About the only thing that is specific, actually, there is one element which is you're not flying with the app, but you could force it to tether, because the other drones fly with the app and phone, whereas the drone technically doesn't, but it does. You can, but it doesn't work. But that would
if that's happened, then no platform will be able to fly in the US, because there is no chipset that matches the standard the FAA want. The FAA went to Apple, and Apple told them where to go and how to get there quickly, and not Samsung, but it was an Android one as well, and that's to do with the Z-axis for the ground control station. The FAA have demanded a standard that even the military don't have. But they wrote it down without going, best we check the technicals side of this first. And it's to do with the Z. If that's what, hello, Anthony, if that's what I'm talking about. Patrick maybe's got some newer stuff on that. We had a whistleblower thing about that. And I've forgotten the name of the people from the standards body who wrote to the FAA and said, 15-foot actually, FAA said it comply with the sUAS GPS. I'll have to recheck that.
But that would apply to all of the aircraft anyway, because
everything.
The only there'll be nothing today that complies with that. Okay, there is the difference on the FPV drone is if they can get away with it with a smart device. There is no technical reason there couldn't be a firmware update for the FPV drone.
But it's not the drone itself that the FAA won the accuracy on. It's at the ground control station.
Yeah.
it's another,
which tells you everything, doesn't it? It's all about the pilot. It's all about, they want to know where the pilot is.
Which is exactly, if we have remote ID in Ukraine right now, that's exactly where we'd be. And that would be definitely a bad idea to turn it on, because remote ID is a Wi-Fi standard, so you'll be able to set up your receiving stations with stuff that you might have in your pocket.
They want 15-foot accuracy on the Z-axis. Why?
Yeah. Because that you're not allowed to be taller than 16 foot and flying a drone.
I'm just thinking, what relevance does the Z-axis have to where the pilot is, other than him being on stilts? Because if you clean up to the horizontal accuracy, it's got to be there somewhere.
Yes.
Is it because he could be up a tree? Is that what this is? We need to know where he is. He's probably up one of these trees somewhere.
Yeah, I have forgotten why the Z-axis became quite as important as it did.
Yeah.
But that's in a building. Yeah, Thing of Flight probably has it in a building. Yes.
Yeah, but GPS doesn't work in a building, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I know that the FAA went to manufacturers and manufacturers told them where to go, and I thought that had been killed. And Patrick, I can't bring you in because I can't flip and do anything on my phone here, but you might remind me of the standards agency that raised it with the FAA. Here's 1623. All drone pilots meet the operation requirements Part 89. Or flying. Freers make their lovely, wonderful re-emergence.
That's 2 years since we've had that, isn't it?
Freers. Lovely to have them back, really. I've missed them. I've missed chat of Freers. Oh, dear. And Justin, exactly, Justin. The FAA genuinely went down the road of asking manufacturers to have something that doesn't exist.
We want you to have it so we can find you when you're in a building.
Yeah,
okay.
and I think certainly the FCC had a word with them. It was ASTM, Patrick. It was ASTM. I think. Pretty sure I'm right in saying it was ASTM that said, "Now, come on, what's this rubbish?"
They'll most likely refresh all of their drones for then anyway. They've been watching these regulations for a while. But again, the real interesting part for TGI is they don't have a policy lead for this stuff in the US anymore. And that's the real interesting bit, is how much are they going to be following this? They lost Brendan. Brendan left, and he was very much their man involved in that side of things. And that isn't to say Brendan wasn't replaced, but there is no public figure in that position anymore at DJI. And, they've been very, very quiet. I suspect they'll refresh all models. When it comes to that period, you'll probably find all of the models will be refreshed. Just like now, for instance, where they've said with the Mavic 3 in Europe, that they're clearly saying that the Mavic 3 is going to cross the regulations into being compliant. And to do that, it's going to need these other props. Which, interestingly, then lays people in the position of, so if you have a current model today, if you fit the props, is it legal?
Well, now... Yeah, well, quite a few regulators are saying that operators shouldn't be allowed to or they're beginning to say you shouldn't be allowed to swap your own props because you're not qualified to, because you're not an engineer. So how on earth can you swap props when you're not an engineer? And then if you're operating under some sort of commercial construct, then I'm afraid it must be changed by a suitably qualified engineer. That has started rearing its ugly head. It's just like RPM estimate. So there you go. Yes, that's right. That's right. Do you know I had a bit of a horror this week? I can't remember which way round they go, but I found my lad who's in England now. And funny enough, he's in Swansea tonight. Lad number 2. On his FPV gear, he'd been moaning at me that it wasn't working as well it was. And when I checked the receiver antenna, he had a female where there should have been a male connector kit. So no wonder it didn't work so well. I'd ignored him. I thought, whatever. How can it have changed? How can it have changed? Nothing's changed it. Oh. So I took it apart to put it in a box to just to store it. It's like, that's why it changed. But anyway, that's an aside. DJI policy were pushing Chinese.
Well, I would have expected them to be pushing their own agenda, DJI's, because at the end of the day, DJI is a foreign. DJI is a. Do we expect any company not to push their own agenda? Let's not pretend companies are nice things that do everything in the. We've just had the whole NVIDIA ARM fall through thing, and for the main reason of you didn't want, or the world didn't really want them taking full control of it. Big companies are inherently evil. It's an extreme term, but it's what people like to use. Is any company evil? We've had this week with the new HD0 system, and people go, I'd never buy DJI, they're evil. Really? Are they evil? No company is evil. A company does what it feels is best for itself or its shareholders, depending on how it's set up, or whoever its paymaster is. That's what a company is designed to do. Now, in theory,
wouldn't say DJI is evil, even though I'm not their greatest fan by a long shot. But I would say Apple is evil.
I'm not a big Apple fan. I'm less of an Apple fan than I am a DJI fan. That's for sure. Yeah.
Stakeholder. Yeah, but does that matter? Do I really care that the Communist Party is a stakeholder in DJI? I really don't. I really don't care. Now, when it comes to things like lobbying and stuff. Look, there's been lobbying for donkey's years and everything. Half the bad things that have happened in the world have been because of people doing stuff. Politics is one thing. The reality is, if DJI had got all of their own way, let's just say they'd got all of their own way with the NFC policy, would it actually be as bad as what we're going to get? It's an interesting thought, isn't it? So if we'd have actually gone down the road of DJI's route, which is Aeroscope,
it would have been better.
Yeah, I think
it would have been better. Yeah, it would have been better. Because we're going to end up getting devices from third-party operators that are just going to shill it. It's like Ian's going to have a chair with their logo on the back, and it'll be shilling away for whichever one it is.
I'm looking forward to the money.
Yeah. But it's just it won't be a very unified system. We're going to have multiple. It's going to be dreadful. It's going to be a complete chaos. I need to go back up. I think Patrick said. What date was it in 2023? There, 16th of September 2022. Now that's just around the corner, really. Don't feel like it is, but it is. That's just around the corner. So Patrick, what was the what's the option for retrofitting stuff? What's the legacy option for that? I wonder. That's going to be a big thing. CV types, CV codes.
Well, yeah, I'm just getting something ready. I'll show you now. 1 second. We're getting ready for the introduction of all of this remote ID stuff with the gap.
All right. I'm waiting. I've got. I'll tell you
Here
what.
we go.
I'll
See,
just.
for anyone watching, your ad could be here.
Yeah.
Your ad could be here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It is available now. That
We
space is available to rent.
we often see the back of your chair. That's well,
Yeah.
we do actually. You get up and do. We do actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do then paid rotations. So at least
Oh, yeah,
3 paid
yeah.
rotations in every live stream I do. So every live stream I'll just suddenly go, oh, what's this?
Yeah, what am I getting here? Yeah. No, you've got it. You've choreographed it very, very well.
There we
You
go.
obviously.
I picked it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Legacy drones can buy a module, but who makes that module? 507RC does not need live GPS from the control station. The module does not need live GPS data from the control station.
I know Philip's making a module. Philip is planning one. You know, Philip will have one.
Well, there's one in France. I mean, France has already got it. So, yeah. Let's see. I mean, I don't think when I started doing this however many years ago, I don't think I thought we'd end up in this place.
I think it's going to be interesting to see the Model RC, because the Model RC industry is really not ready for this. They've sort of head in the sand territory for a long, long time. And, you know, depending on the country, depends on the get outs, because there are get outs in various countries. But yeah, I think the reality is people are not going to comply overnight. I remember when some of the big changes happened in industry. So like I remember when the electrical regulations changed in the UK and they introduced Part P and all of the new qualifications, and every Sparky had to go and get qualified. You know, in the old days, you were qualified to a lower level. Things don't just, they're not cliff edges. What happens is the rule comes in and then there's a few years of flexibility and movement. You'll still see product being sold. You'll still see product on shelf. What manufacturers will do is just ship in a shit ton of it before the regulation comes in, because once it's in the country, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Here, everything's supposed to arrive with a message in the box about rules, regulations, and all the rest.
In the UK as well. Yeah. That's the same. Yeah, all the DJI stuff does. It should have something from the CAA in it, and that's why this prop thing won't be really big for them. You know, they've got to put a different plug in anyway, so it's just another SKU. Well, it's just a change to the SKU. That's all it will be. It's going to be interesting.
Well, I'm looking forward to the several hundred YouTube videos of YouTubers saying this is 4.7% more less efficient than the other, and this is 19.4% less efficient, and in an hour of etc. There's the very, very, very pertinent comment there. Or flying a Frio which can't be created yet because CBOs don't exist yet. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And then it's welcome to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, because it truly is. If you become a CBO, it truly is the golden ticket, isn't it? Watch AMA membership cost triple if they get given the golden ticket. But I think, and perhaps 507 can correct me, or Patrick or someone else, I think they made a ruling that said, some other side ruling that said no one person can be king, or one organization can be king, and and we'll appoint no one at the same time. AMO wants 1 million members. Yeah, absolutely. But they can't have them now because there's not enough. It's such a hassle to get into the hobby as a youngster. It's such a hassle to teach model aircraft flying, even here in South Africa at schools, because of the potential liability and hassle raised by the drone threat and menace, that people aren't bothering. They're going on to other hobbies. It's stuffed the hobby.
Well, you have had Pavel, the INAV dev, this week has put out a video saying FPV is dead. Oh, it's returned to, let's just say, pre-COVID and pre-boom levels. I don't fully agree.
Well, when was the boom year then? When was the boom
year
for FPV?
Boom was sort of 2014 onwards, is what Pavel's saying. Now, having watched a few of the latest releases, I'm not convinced. You know, FPV has been the biggest growing thing in the last couple of months, but camera drones are still the major thing because it's a consumer product. You know, people go and buy one for filming their kids and stuff like that. I think FPV has seen a
someone
big
else's.
increase. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Moving on swiftly. Moving on swiftly. Yeah.
What happened, officer, was I was just flying over and I happened to be a couple of kids there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not convinced. You know, things are definitely on the down. You know, from a YouTube point of view, I don't know about Nicola. My
Cheers,
channel
Patrick. Look after yourself.
Is on the slope. It didn't actually hit so much in January for me. It hit February and March. You know, the viewers and everything are going down. That's mostly because I'm making content. So that's usually what happens.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll get rid of them. Yeah,
things are on the drop a little bit. I don't think it's anything fundamental. It's certainly not what it was last year. But I think a lot of people had a lot of money last year. You weren't going on holiday. And you were working from home and you had time to buy stuff while working at home and spend that extra money that you weren't spending on other stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's so Evolution says FPV is not going away. I'm sure it's not going away, but it is. If our industry is a niche industry, then FPV is a niche within a niche within a niche within a niche. It's a very, very small part of it. So what is the latest? What is so if I go into it now, where are we at? What's the latest HD video system I need to buy, etc., 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 to replace the one that my lad burnt out? Anyway,
there's loads. Everything's growing. You know, you got Open HD, which is getting better and better. And there's some dedicated hardware coming for that this year, which could be very, very interesting. You've got some of the Chinese stuff like Nicola's been testing. You got the DJI, you got HD0, you got Orca around the corner who are waiting for the chip shortage to sort itself out. There's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. I like to consider it a cult.
Yeah, I think we might have to adopt that. I think that's brilliant. I think
the cult of FPV.
The cult. I think we might have to adopt that. It's a brilliant way of looking at it. Well, it was even here, you know, in this little corner of South Africa. It was quite big. 3 or 4 years ago, we had 2 clubs, and I'm 100 kilometers from the nearest big town, yeah, there were 2 clubs of youngsters doing it, and my word, they flew well, doing all the tricks and stuff that an old git like me can't do. But they've sort of, it's all sort of, I suppose perhaps it was COVID that really hit that on the head. Everyone sort of drifted about ad for the chair. There we are. Yeah, ad for the chair. Aerial survey mapping and engineering. Yeah, well, huge demand. Yeah, huge demand, really. People that know what they're doing are in huge demand. There's lots of people that pretend they know what they're doing. Where does Bruce fit in with the cult? He's on the field now. He's flying right now. That's why he's not with us. Bruce doesn't fit in? Do you think Bruce would want to fit in anywhere? I don't think he would. I don't think he'd agree with that. We'll ask him next week. But yeah, aerial mapping, yes, of course, it's got a place, but you've got to be a qualified surveyor, etc., etc. So what else have we seen this week before I knock this out? The power should be going back on shortly. This once again brought to you by, look at this historic artifact that is a necessity here. I bet you haven't seen one of these for years, have you, Ian? Or even Nicola in the real world? Yeah.
So what now?
Yeah. Paraffin lamps.
The smell.
Exactly.
Those have been going for a while.
Yeah. Plenty of work in Africa. There is, Justin.
Although I do have one, but it might be a gas lamp, actually.
And LiDAR, yeah, I've got a LiDAR working, or careful what I say. Yeah, I've got a couple of LiDAR jobs happening right now, further up in Africa. And it's a handy old thing, but it's frightening amounts of money to get airborne. That's the only trouble. You got to make sure you pay for it in a couple of jobs, and then then the next ones are free. But it's very, very, very frightening cost to the sensors. That's for sure. Then you've got to have enough electricity to process the results, etc. Which yeah, we can be short of. Oh no, I spoke last week about the M300 that's in the bottom of Lake Victoria on a delivery drone thing. I can't think what else I've heard this week. Oh yeah, another project did use an entire island's power trying to charge a set of batteries. That the donors didn't realize there wasn't enough electricity on the entire island to charge the thing. So you got to plan a lot of things. There's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts with drone operations. Right, I am waffling. What else have we seen before we go?
Well, like I said at the start of the live cast, thanks to Facebook, there wasn't much else other than the Ukrainian thing in the past few days. So, yeah, but like I told you 2 weeks back, sadly I couldn't join in because I was in Abu Dhabi.
That's right, you were, weren't you? Yes.
At the Unmanned Systems Expo.
And what did you see there that really caught your eye?
Well, funny thing is, like 90% of the exhibitors were actually military manufacturers, and like 50% of the relatively normal sized drones were almost Foxtech FPV orders.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a big Foxtech platform coming to us soon.
A few are actually, spot on 100%, nothing custom, just off of out of the shipping box
shelf.
and onto the stand.
Yeah. All I'll say about the Foxtech stuff is take it apart before you fly it.
A good number of T-motor motors and ESCs, which is expected because they do make some of the best in the world.
Did you see any of the new T-motor ones that stop themselves nicely?
None of them were operational, and I actually left before the day with the that was supposed to have the demonstrations. We left that same day in very early morning because the flight to Bulgaria is 9:30 local time, so we had to catch it.
And what were you flying there, or what were you demonstrating there?
Nothing,
just doing tourism.
Well, not really, but I wasn't flying anything. And seeing how learning how difficult it would be to bring anything to a non-EU country, especially over there, it's prohibitively tedious to do that.
It's interesting how I hadn't thought about it till now. Now that you've said it, I wonder where Foxtech is actually in the position in ranking in the world. I bet it's a lot higher than a lot of people think, because you really do see their everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So I reckon they
do sell a lot of like industry level models for mapping agriculture, multispectral, whatever work. They do have quite a lot of these large and expensive planes, and actually people do buy from them. I do see mostly VTOLs, but when you ask them where they got them, it's usually Foxtech, because otherwise
they say our design team have been working for months on our special.
Well, that was the funny thing. One of these stands, the Pavo Group, seemed like a pretty large company. They had like a 12-meter stand, and it was deep. etc. And right there, smack in the middle, there was this XUAV Talon, not
Oh
the
yeah.
not the new version, the old one, the
Old
bigger
one.
one,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
without the wing extensions,
Oh
which
dear.
was horrifically covered with. It was very badly covered with a black. I'm not even sure it was foil, some sort of tape that was wrinkled in a lot of areas. It was made like DIY Vito. It was absolutely ridiculous. DIY Vito with thin aluminum rods, which were then additionally secured to the fuselage at both ends. So you have additional plates running from the rods to the fuselage going into the foam at the front and at the back to prevent them from twisting and shaking about. Because I would assume for such use, 15, no, it was more like 12 by 12 millimeter aluminium rods on enough to not bend. And this plane can weigh a fair chunk, and made Vito probably even more so. And then all of the wiring and the ESCs were running external to these tubes and were covered with black tape. It was looking worse than what many hobbyists would do.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was
You
definitely
wouldn't
not.
take it to the.
This
You
was
wouldn't take it to the
definitely
flying
not
field.
bought off of Foxtech FPV looking like that. This was made, you know, by somebody, and it looked atrocious. It was. I wouldn't put that. If I was an exhibitor there, I'd be ashamed to put that thing there with that, wiring wrapped in black tape, ESCs wrapped in black tape. It looked absolutely ridiculous. And the other plane model they had was just a standard model from Foxtech FPV. They didn't even bother to hide the here Link 3 GPS units, which I assume connect to a orange cube inside. Motors was Sunny Sky. The rear motor was a T motor and some crappy props, and that thing was just there for everyone to see.
And what fabulous price tag did they put on all this?
I have no idea. Nobody actually had price tags. I didn't talk to any of these
If you,
people.
yeah, if
Yeah,
you
I
have to
just took
ask, then
some
you can't afford
photos.
it.
Just took some photos, looked around, did some intelligence work.
Well, the John mentions Baby Shark, and if they change the names, they sell more. You're absolutely right, but I suppose they allow other companies to change their names to whatever and think we get away with it. But they must have sold a huge amount of gear over the years. They must have done. I've flown a Baby Shark. It's I don't know that it's okay, but I don't think it's fantastic. And as I say, if you buy from them, you do have to make sure you pull all the wiring out and start again, and also run your own firmware.
Oh yeah,
their firmware is just no. You're better off tuning them yourself and
pretty
sorting
much.
it out yourself.
Same goes for the Great Shark as well.
Yeah.
The airframe might be okay, but the wiring is atrocious, and the autopilot definitely needs a retune.
Yeah. So apart from that, they're great.
Well, they are certainly much cheaper than other alternatives.
Yes.
Because I've seen a $70,000 drone of roughly the same caliber in terms of wingspan that's actually made in South Africa. And that thing looked as if it was molded in one piece. It was absolutely pristine. Superb manufacturing.
Yeah, you're talking about Duran's machines. I know the machines you're talking about.
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah. It's Duran stuff.
Yeah, but compared to everything that I've seen, I have no idea.
I don't know. We don't. Yeah, Alti. That's it, John. We don't know about. I don't know about Fixar. I've never seen one in the flesh. At our race, they're nice. what I can tell you about a race, again, I've not seen those things in the flesh, but I have interacted with the people from them, and
I haven't even heard
they're nice
those.
people. You've not heard of them?
No. But
No.
interesting thing was there were a few stands there by Chinese companies, and they did have some pretty interesting planes that you don't normally see on Foxtech FPV. So it was overall, it was like 50% just regular shit that you can buy off of Banggood or sites like this, and then you could definitely see those that had actually put any money in development in house. They still used T Motors or Sunny Sky or Cobra or stuff like that with Hobby Wing ESCs or T Motor ESCs, etc. But you could see the custom work. Somewhat pretty freaking stupid designs. I can't even, at some point you start to see that desire to stand out with something different leads people to some pretty ridiculous decisions and results. There were just things that I can't even begin to theorize why they look like that, or what could possibly be the benefit of something as
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Well, it's that old aviation saw that if it looks right, it'll probably fly right, and it just is actually true. You don't, in a lot of ways, you don't need to run simulations. You don't need to have computational flow, dynamic stuff. You can look at it and go, "Oh, that looks good. That'll probably be okay." And it's a bit like aerial robotics. Yes, they're cool, and that Terradynamics thing, I think, John, is very exciting, but very complicated. I know they've got it flying very well and all that sort of thing, but my word, it's complicated. But I am so often wrong. That might be the next big thing. And the Vapor 55 had a hobby wing. It did too, and that's AeroVironment now, I think. But what I was going to say before we go was that I'm struggling to find a better plane than the Believer. There's been no real big leap. Oh, okay.
The Flying Dragon.
You reckon the Flying Dragon's better? I haven't flown one of those.
Otherwise known as Long 2160.
Long.
With a long O.
Oh, is that the slightly longer wingspan version of it?
Well, it's not. It's not made by Make Fly Easy.
Okay.
It's some other company. I actually recently lost one of the top canopies on mine and managed to find the manufacturer, surprising as it was even to me. And they've actually improved the model quite a bit since all the way back when I got mine, and to the point where it now doesn't even remotely look like mine. I mean, so many upgrades that I feel kind of fucked over.
No, it's a really that Believer is, and the primary reason is I can get me fat fingers in there. That is the primary reason. There's sort of lots of things, is simple stuff that you need. You need to be able to actually work on the thing. If you're going to
in January, like the later half of January and the first half of February, I used the Flying Dragon a lot. It did, combined probably 10 days of flying from dusk till dawn without stopping. 2 sets of batteries and just changing them as soon as it lands. Fly again. This thing was absolutely brilliant as a plane. The Matec wing flight controller was also brilliant. But the plane was absolutely perfect. Landings are just a breeze with that thing. And the major difference I see, based on my own experience with the Believer, is the absolute reluctance of this plane to tipstoe, unlike the Believer. No matter what you do with it, it just refuses to dip a wing. While the Believer was, it didn't take a lot to make it, dip to one side. And I've tried that a few times and it didn't disappoint. While the Flying Dragon just doesn't want to. It stays.
You have to get one.
It parachutes down, may rock a little bit, but it is amazing. It is a breeze to fly, and I am almost ready to get the the Make Fly Easy Fighter in the air. Although that one is a big, because the battery alone is 4 kilograms now.
Yeah,
but
you start getting into needing launch rails and bungees.
Funny thing is, the Flying Dragon was at around 6.5 kilograms during these flights. It would do around 500 kilometers per day. So that's probably total of close to 5,000 kilometers for the 10 days on 2 sets of batteries. And that was 6.5 kilograms. And at first I thought I really needed to throw it hard for it not to crash. But then at some point, I realized that at least with the setup I have on 6S, I just needed to let go of it with a moderate push, because it has a thing at the back for your finger where you put your finger and then you throw it. So basically I just remove in my case, my left arm, which is holding the belly, and just push it forward. And that's it. It does all the rest, doesn't dip down. It was because the takeoff and landing locations were absolutely atrocious and narrow corridors, and you had to be very precise with all of that. And there was only one dodgy landing throughout the whole ordeal, and it was absolutely perfect the rest of the time.
I'm gonna have to get one when the global shortages have eased, and the thing won't cost me 30 times more than you paid for it. So yeah, you have to try one. I'm not sure there's any even in the country here. I'll look around. I'll see if
I'm betting there isn't. I know Foxtech FPV sell it as a long 2160, and I think there may be one listing on AliExpress. I have to check it out. I'm pretty sure, because I do have now 2 videos on it on my channel, and I'm actually preparing a video on what we did in January and February, and I'm gonna publish it hopefully soon. But I do have a link, I think, to AliExpress in that video, so you may want to follow it there. I think the VTOL set was around $800, because it also can be VTOL.
Yeah. I have a feeling.
I'm using it
the
plain
VTOL
only.
one lying around.
I'm
Or was it
using
you?
it
was you.
only.
That's right. I remember the story now. It arrived, and you didn't bother to get the VTOL one when I was interested in that. You got the normal one. I remember
Well,
now. I remember.
It's not so much as me not bothering as Banggood not sending.
It's what I wanted. You didn't do what I wanted. That was the thing. That was the thing. I remember now. Now.
Sadly, I didn't get the VTOL for the fighter either, but I'll be running that thing on 9S actually.
Wow.
And I'm really curious to see how that's gonna work out.
Tiny wiring time. Tiny wires. You get 9S, you can have tiny wires.
Actually, no. I'm running 10 AVG wires from battery to power module, from power module to wing connectors, from wing connectors to everything else.
What are the wing connectors rated to?
Well, they look like
XT60
size.
Okay.
or slightly larger. But I'm thinking they should be
Okay.
able to push, for short periods, maybe 50, 60 amps or thereabouts. But my idea is to actually, because I did talk to MFE, and I did buy part. I bought half of the Vito set because I have some ideas of how I want to make it so it would have redundancy. Because four motors for me does not spell redundancy, and a I'm not a fan of such a setup.
Uh,
So I came up with a different idea, and I only needed part of the setup for the Vito. So I contacted them and I only ordered half of it. I ordered some other parts and some other parts and some other parts, and now I'm waiting for parts to arrive. I think I'm gonna fly it plane only for now,
okay.
but I'm quickly going to modify it for Vito, and I'm gonna use it that way because it will be 8.5 kilograms as a plane, and I think that is going
Saving.
to be a serious chunk to throw. So I'm thinking add another 2 kilograms, make it a Vito, and swallow the loss of flight time and efficiency, but it would be able to fly and land safely, hopefully with redundancy. Because for
Now,
me that
that
is
I just had a brief interruption then because my service provider, because we are coming via the miracle of gas lamps or paraffin lamps, has told me I've got less than a gig of data left, so I better call a line under this, and yeah, see everyone next week. So I don't know. Did you have any more news here before we get
Nothing. Nope, nothing at
nothing?
all. Very
All
nothing.
right. All right, dear viewer, Nicola, Ian, thank you very much. Wherever you are in the world, be safe. If you're in anywhere near the Ukraine, if your friends and family there, then I hope all goes well with that terrible situation. See you again, 2100 GMT next week. Cheers for now. Bye bye.
see you guys.